All right, Mr. Simon, let's break this down finally. Been a week, should have done this sooner, but just didn't have time. So, the good news is you got a pretty good base stride. There's only two major fixes that you need to get to. Okay. And number one, what I want you to look at is your arms, right? Your arms are super straight. And because they're super straight, what I want you to think about is moving a piece of mass that is further away from the center point of movement is harder, right? So your arm weighs more the further it is out here versus in here. That means two things. Number one, it's going to take more time, more energy, and more effort to move that back and forth versus if it was tighter. And you can't move it as fast. If we can't move our arms as fast, it's not going to force us to move our legs as fast. We're going to be slower at skating. So by having your arms out like this, you're number one, not going to be skating as fast because you can't move your feet as fast. Number two, you're going to get tired quicker skating because your arms are so wide. So what I want you to think about is your arms should be like you're running, should be here. You should be bent at 90 degrees at the elbow joint, and they should be moving at a 45-degree angle of your plane of movement. So what that means is if you're moving this direction, your arm should be moving 45 degrees here to here compared to your plane of movement, not side to side, not forward and back, 45 degrees. Okay, so that's number one. And you can see it right there as you're skating. Number two, this gap in between your knees is fantastic. I like it. So keep that, leave it alone. But what I want you to fix is your recovery. So what you're going to see is right in this area, your feet never come back inside this area. I did another video on here, and at the end of it, there was video of speed skaters starting. Watch their stride and watch how much their foot comes underneath them to then explode back up and out. And that recovery and then explosion by this leg helps create power in this direction. Okay. So you need to work on your recovery. And you can see how your feet never come underneath your body. There's a little more detail within that, but that's the basic two issues. So these should look like that and like that. And this foot right here, as an example, should be there, right underneath your body. It should be recovering all the way under. Okay. It's just a little bit wide. And then number two, which we'll get into, why not? When you're stepping, all right, I want you to try to create a little bit more power by reaching with your foot out here. So the foot that you're not on. So after you stride, see if I can catch it. Right there. This should be a nice long push, which it is. You're driving with this arm that direction. This arm should be more here. And then this leg, nice reach. It's actually, you're doing a pretty good job of it. And like I said, you're really close to having a good stride. It's just a matter of getting a little bit more side to side movement in your stride. So you can see right here, like it's gonna be hard to explain on video, but more or less, watch how you're going right here. And there's no real shift of power side to side. That's because you're railroading your feet. Hopefully that makes sense. Like your feet should come back underneath you, and each foot helps the other foot create speed and power. Hopefully I can explain that better when we move on here. So here's the drill to fix that. So you can see I push, extend, gliding. All right. And number two, notice how much lower I am than you. This is something you should definitely work on while you're doing this drill. But most importantly is that recovery. You want to get your foot underneath your body. Okay. And the reason is watch how this foot pushing that way is going to help this foot pushing that way. Okay. They work together. So as one's going back, one's going forward. One pushes back, one pushes forward. So the way this drill is done, all right, your stick's in front of you, your palms are up underneath it. You push, you drag just the toe of your blade. That's it. Not the whole blade, just the toe. That's all you're going to do. Okay. Second, you want to make sure your knee doesn't collapse down like that. Your leg should be, see if I can get an image of it, nice and straight like a board. Shouldn't be flexing and bending here. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. So the drill looks like that. And the one part I didn't mention, especially for you, when you recover your foot, I want your actual blade of your skate touching your boot. Not the inside edge, not the outside edge, not your boot touching your other boot, the actual blade of your skate touching the other foot. And we can go over this in person the next time we get a chance, but that's what the drill looks like. So here's an example of a player. He started out very similar to you, but if you notice, his arms, and watch how his feet come back underneath him. So you can see how this push is working with this push to create a more fluid, more powerful stride. Okay, so let's watch again. So the reason his stride looks so much more dynamic than yours is because when he recovers his foot, they're working together to create that speed and power. So we'll watch yours. So notice how it's railroading and your arms are straight. All right. And then we'll watch the other kids. You can compare and contrast. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions about that, and we'll talk about it in person, but that should be enough to kind of get your brain going and get it started. All right, dude, any questions, hit me up, let me know, and we'll talk about it.